A terrifyingly powerful entity that few Hollow Knight players will ever get a glimpse of is the void being known as the Shade Lord. A statue of its form is seen in the Hall of Gods after defeating all bosses on Radiant difficulty, and it actually appears at the end of the fight with the Absolute Radiance in the Pantheon of Hallownest, as well as the cutscene after. But what is this entity exactly? Where does it come from? And why does it appear specifically when it does? Let's start off with the being's title, Shade Lord. This name for the creature specifically comes from the game's files for the sprites of it that appear in the Pantheon of Hallownest. The only description revealed in direct canon is that of the Void Idol variant depicting the creature, which reads, Void Given Focus. Given focus implies a large amount of something brought together, and the Hunter's Journal description of this variant does confirm that it contains a large amount of liquid from the abyss, that being void. Shade Lord specifically also calls back to the Dreamnail dialogue from the Shade Beast in the Abyss once the knight has acquired the Void Heart, which reads, Lord of Shades. Now for the creature's physical appearance. It is obviously very large, to the point where its entire body is never completely visible on screen. Its body seems to be in a partially solid and partially gaseous state. It has multiple arms with hands resembling those of the pure vessel, having 4 fingers including an opposable thumb. It also has horns and what appear to be tendrils emanating from its body. Finally, it has 8 eyes which glow white like the eyes of all other void creatures. We know what this thing is called and what it looks like, but what is it specifically? It notably emerges from the space into which the knight's shade falls after their shell breaks at the end of the fight with the Absolute Radiance. We can infer then that the knight is part of the Shade Lord. The size and shape of the Shade Lord's body, and the fact that it has multiple eyes and limbs, suggests that it is actually a collective being of some sort. One difference between the fight with the Radiance versus the fight with the Absolute Radiance is that the 5th stage of the latter does not include multiple shades from the Abyss rising up to meet the knight. It's possible that these same shades instead compose the Shade Lord along with the knight once the fight is over. The Pure Vessel's shade may even also be present. Then there's what happens with the Shade Lord after it uses its power to annihilate the Absolute Radiance. It immediately descends upon the Godseeker and starts wrapping its tendrils around her. The scene then shifts from Godhome to the Junk Pit in the physical world, where the Shade Lord appears to attempt an exit through the Godseeker's body. This is a significant contrast to the aftermath of the battle with the Radiance, where all the Void immediately returns to the Abyss. The Void was probably able to do so because destroying the Radiance also destroyed the dream in which the fight takes place, as that dream space was designed specifically to hold the Radiance. This may also be why the Black Egg dissolves upon the Radiance's defeat, because it too had some connection to that specific dream. However, the Absolute Radiance and her arena are only one part of Godhome, so although the peak of the Pantheon of Hallownest becomes consumed with void, it doesn't seem to be dissolving the entirety of the Godhome realm. Because of this, the Shade Lord may have found itself unable to exit Godhome through any means other than the Godseeker, to whose body the realm of Godhome was anchored through the physical world. The void that the Shade Lord became composed of was called into Godhome by the knight using the power of the Void Heart, but it likely did not want to stay there any longer since the light of dreams and essence opposes its nature. Of course, there are 2 variants of the Junk Pit cutscene. If the Godseeker is holding a delicate flower given to her by the knight, the flower will dissolve the Shade Lord, and the Godseeker along with it. So how does a being powerful enough to destroy the Absolute Radiance meet its match with a single flower? The answer to this may lie with an idea proposed by some commenters on previous videos where I've discussed these topics. The theory proposed here is that in the same way that void embodies regrets, the delicate flower embodies acceptance. This being an aspect of the delicate flower's nature would also explain why the Trader's Child and Grey Mourner are able to pass on peacefully once it has been delivered to the former's grave. As for why the Godseeker disappears along with the Shade Lord, it could be because the two were somewhat merged during the brief moment in which it was using her body to exit the Dream Realm. As for what the Shade Lord does or would do if its escape turned out to be successful, it may very well be just the same as the Dream No More ending scenario. Return to the Abyss once and for all. What do you think of the lore surrounding the Shade Lord? Do you agree with my speculations about it? Is there anything else you'd want to add? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching this video. I've made plenty more on Hollow Knight and other media, so be sure to watch those too if you're interested. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.